And we are back. And for those of you who are just joining us, we're right in the middle of our character creation for Age of Rebellion. So far, we've had Stark talk a little bit about how he's playing a Mon Calamari ambassador slash analyst, and we're kind of working together to flush out what his backstory is. Palomi wants to be some sort of healer, and there's a couple different options we're talking about for that. And I think she also wants to have a husband, a deceased husband.
Potentially
just
a missing husband.
Missing
for sure.
Who's a Mandalorian, and I also think she wants to be from Naboo because, as she says on many streams, she has a lot of Padme feels and wants to
many Padme feels.
Pull in the Padme feels. And we haven't heard from myself or Game Face Kill yet on what our characters are. I think we were a little less firm on what we were thinking, but why don't you kind of give a general idea of what you're thinking, Game Face Kill?
So far, I think the thing that I'm having the worst time thinking about is what I want to do for species, but
you could just roll a dice.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's what I did for a lot of my characters for like other rule sets. Is I just rolled dice and see what I got, and I'm like, do I disagree with this? And if I really disagree with this, then I rolled again. But apart from that, I just took it, and I'm like, And that made some of my most fun characters is mostly just dice rolls.
I mean, there are entire systems of tabletop RPGs that are based around randomizing everything about your character.
Yeah.
Which can be its own kind of fun, honestly. Having to play like a really misfit character is actually kind of fun. But
but I think what I'm looking at is doing the Ace Hotshot. Because I like I'm either going with that or possibly the squad leader.
Oh yeah, squad leader's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I would rather be kind of. I definitely want to do some piloting. I know I did kind of pilot last time. I didn't use it.
I think I was the best pilot last time, but no one let me fly anything.
Oh no, wait, no, you weren't, right? Because didn't we make the joke about how the astromech droid was the worst flyer? Didn't we do that at some point?
No, we made a joke about. We made a joke about how he was the worst mechanic because that's actually the primary job of an astromech droid.
Yeah. But I think I'm kind of leaning more toward the squad leader. I like the idea of, I guess if no one else has like Imperial ties, I could do that. Or the idea of being in some kind of failed squad.
Oh yeah, that's actually cool.
Really terrible.
So you have like a heavy background, basically, like you were in a squad and it was destroyed or something.
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
Cool. I like that.
And then just that whole like haunted idea of having a hard time getting back into combat. Something like Tom Cruise in Top Gun.
Every film he's in.
The Tom Cruise trope.
Yeah, no.
No, I actually think those are both really cool ideas.
So what kind of like ability type things are they? Are they like piloting combat, piloting skills? Like what kind of
the squadron leader has kind of a mix, which I thought would be cool because then he could do some planetary piloting if we had that, or space. But he also has gunnery and mechanics as his spec bonus career skills, and then I guess
he also has access to Field Commander, which is in his talent tree, which is a great ability. So you'd be kind of like because the squadron leader is a specialization in commander. So,
okay.
Yeah, so you actually get all the commander skills, and then you get, like you said, gunnery, mechanics, piloting planetary, piloting space, which is a pretty great combo.
Yeah, the only thing is if Stark is thinking about doing leadership stuff as well. I was thinking I could be more kind of like a leader, like an ex-leader. Like I don't want to be anymore, so I was thinking about focusing more on the. But I do like the field.
So if you're like a squad leader, maybe it was like you had a squad previously.
You're like a combat leader
under your command or something, and you don't kind of want that role anymore. Is that kind of what you're?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of like a fallen squad leader. Like you feel responsible for the people in your previous squad that were killed.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing I should mention too is that there's a distinct difference between having social skills and being a leader in this system. So just because Stark's character might be a diplomat and have a lot of social skills, which in a typical RPG might lend that character credence at being the party leader, so to speak.
Right.
That's not necessarily the case here. And in some ways it sounds like he wants to be able to evaluate you all as part of his connection to Alliance High Command.
So with that, I was actually thinking of being a figurehead, a commander figurehead, which is very focused on leadership. But we can't have 3 leaders.
Too many cooks.
Yeah. So the other kind of direction I was going was a sharpshooter, I believe it was, which is very combat oriented, which I wasn't super thrilled with at first because it's pretty similar to what my last character kind of was very combat oriented. But I was kind of thinking of being combat oriented, but wanting to step on the toes of the leaders. Like, I don't do well with authority.
Oh, what would ever possess you to make a character like that?
Yeah, I mean, it probably hits a little bit close to home, but I was just because I know we tend to have a lot of authority in our group now, so I was like thinking of being the person without any authority, but who thinks she should have it. Because I'm the sharpshooter, right? So I might have the most skills from like a combat perspective.
You have the sniper skills and the ego to go with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I'm kind of thinking I don't take orders very well. So if, for example, you're like, hey, hold on while I go talk this through or whatever, or we should definitely talk to them first. I'd be
By the time we get there, you've already shot him.
Yeah, I've already made the decision. I thought it might kind of be a cool way to grow my character through the arc too, with you guys kind of trying to tone me down.
I can get you fired as well. That'd be a fun.
Yeah, also fired. I mean, that's also a thing. I mean, if you're there to kind of like evaluate us as a group, I kind of thought of like a tie for that with being like you were sent to our squad to evaluate us because we were kind of problem people. Like, because I don't listen to authority. Maybe Gameface Killa was with the squad that all died. And below me, I don't know, she was married to a Mandalorian.
Wow.
She keeps your ego alive.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, though, because I feel like a lot of war stories or, like, military-style stories are about rejects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly really like the idea of all of us kind of having an issue with authority, and that allows us to get along and work well together as a team. But compared to other teams and maybe having to work with other teams, we turn into like the problem children, and that's why we're being evaluated.
Yeah.
I like this idea. I really like this idea. The one thing I want to ask you guys is, if we decide to go with that as the group concept, how do you guys feel about being in a command position? Like, if you guys were in a situation where your group had to take charge of a combat situation and issue orders.
My character will definitely do that.
He has the ego to do it. I think mine has the knowledge to do it. So
I don't think we'd have an issue with taking command as a problem children, right? Because I think we're all kind of like...
We want to take command.
Yeah, we want to take command.
Degree.
Like, we think our unorthodox ideas, because we have a problem with authority, right? So
yeah.
If we're actually given the chance to, legally be the authority.
It sounds like Gabe's potential character might have an issue with it, though. It might be an interesting issue to explore, though.
Right.
Yeah.
I would definitely be someone who... It's like, don't ask me to do any of that.
Okay, I think that's
me to be in charge of anything.
Which I think is fine when you have 3 others of us who are willing to take it.
Yeah.
And it might be kind of cool too if you were like, because squad leaders in the command tree, right? Is that what we said?
Commander specialization.
Yeah, the commander specialization or whatever. So it might be cool that you were actually sent here to be the authority figure for our group. But we
you just drank the Kool-Aid.
You just abdicated the role, and we kind of all took over.
Well, I guess my question is also, I haven't like read any of the X-Wing like books or anything like that, but I've understood that the rebellion is still like a military entity, and it has like very stringent hierarchies where if it's not followed, so I guess I'm kind of trying to like consolidate that with like what we're trying to do for a group concept.
I mean, the hierarchy is all well and good, I suppose, but if you're off on a ship flying to some obscure part of the galaxy, the hierarchy kind of gets a bit blurry.
True.
As long as the report at the end says what happened, it's fine.
I think it's that we don't necessarily question the orders we're given. Like, we truly believe in the cause, right? Like, we're not here just to spill blood or be paid or anything. Like, we truly believe in the cause, and eventually we'll follow the orders, but there's kind of some of those key cases where we think our ideas are better.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, kind of tying into the special strike squad that you're talking about, right? Like, we're kind of the people they send in to get the unorthodox jobs done. Like, we're not like 1 in 100 soldiers who they put on the front line. We're kind of the ones that they send.
Gotcha. We're not just foot soldiers. We have specialties, and if they're a little bit unorthodox, I mean, if the way we go about doing them is a little bit unorthodox, then as long as we get results, it's not too big.
If you guys are a Spec Force regiment, part of a Spec Force regiment, like, they need varied skills. They don't need operators that all have the same skill set.
Yeah.
Because Spec Force comes up against a lot of different challenges, and oftentimes the ones they're facing are the most dangerous or important challenges that the Rebellion will need to face. So having a variety of backgrounds and skill sets is very important to them, which is why they have so many different regiments that have different abilities. Because if they just recruited frontline soldiers, like, that wouldn't help them accomplish their mission at all. So to have sort of a less than ordinary group, I think, is good. I actually like that a lot. I like the sort of reject theme. The other thing is, while Gabe's character may not want to take command of a situation, being a squadron leader forces you to, like, you already have a different skill set that these other characters can't do. And so there might be situations that you have to take command, even though you don't want to.
Maybe, like, under pressure, you kind of, like, fall back into that role. Like, maybe it's a bit of PTSD almost.
I'm not saying that you have to accept the challenge, that your character has to accept the challenge, Gabe. I'm just saying I think it's an interesting thing to consider, that you're past this thing that's happened to you, and you're not completely over it, and then when the time comes and you're the only one who can do it, how does your character find the strength to do that? Like, if you have to lead a flight of X-Wings, because you're the only one who can do it, how does he find the strength to do that? Or does he? Maybe he doesn't. You know? And I think that's also interesting, if he can't do it. You know? So I think that's a really cool idea for a character, honestly. I think it's really cool. It gives me, as a GM, a lot to work with, honestly. It gives me a lot, so I really like it.
Cool.
Somewhat Koala Zav in chat quoted the Rogue One trailer, which is, "This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel." Is kind of pretty appropriate. For the type of concept that we're coming up for. Like, we're definitely military fighters, but maybe we don't all necessarily have the personalities or the backgrounds in some cases. Like, an ambassador doesn't really have the military background, right? I
mean, I don't know what weapon I have. Maybe I just have, like, a book I hit people with. I don't know.
The rule book. You literally throw the book at people.
I found this D&D rule book in my old...
Yeah.
It's waterproof. I laminated every page.
Rancors and rogues.
Yeah.
That's probably a good precaution. Rancors and rogues! Oh...
Good stuff.
Oh, good. This is good.
Yeah, so I mean, technically we're a group of rebels, and that's kind of what we do. Like, we follow the rules, but occasionally we rebel.
Occasionally we do not.
Occasionally we do not. I mean, and it'll totally depend on, as we go through the story, right? Like, what decisions we actually make. Like, maybe we don't make quite as many rebellious decisions, depending on what situation we're put in. But I think our past kind of having been that up and down of, towing the line, might be interesting.
Your past.
Mm-hmm.
My past.
I'm
yes.
straight and narrow.
You're straight and narrow. Okay, yeah. You're here to help me.
Completely upstanding individual, law-abiding citizen, except for the rebellion part.
Yeah, except for being part of what is essentially a
criminal organization.
Yeah, but
we don't talk about that part.
Yeah.
Morally,
So I have a problem now, guys.
Individual.
When I was playing a figurehead, I wanted to be a Bothan because to me, rebellion and Bothans, like many Bothans died to bring us these plans. Like that to me, that's like iconic Age of Rebellion. But they take a negative to brawn, so that's not so good. With a sharpshooter, so
you can buy some brawn points, or you can just take the challenge.
Yeah,
Something else when I rolled for characters like previously, I wanted to be like a certain class, and then the main stat was horrendous, but that made for some really interesting roleplay experiences.
I'm actually also thinking too, like Bothans, and maybe chat or the GM can help me out a little bit with the lore here. Bothans in general are a pretty proud species, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, like their planet is very
proud.
They're extremely proud, and that kind of fits in with my idea of kind of being like my way is the right way kind of idea. Like I have the training, I have the skills. Why don't people listen to my ideas because I have it right kind of thing. I feel like that's actually a personality that a Bothan would exude.
Well, there was actually a character in the X-Wing series of books who was a diplomat in the New Republic government. None of this is canon, so sorry to his chat. But and this character was like a foil for the protagonist, who was way too proud, way too calculating. He was kind of cold-blooded, and like those kinds of things are things that people tend to associate with Bothans as a result, because he was kind of this cutthroat example of his species.
And just so chat knows, we showed some character sheets and talent trees earlier that were digital, but we do in fact own pretty much all of the source material that is out there.
Like multiple copies.
This is just some of them. We have you can kind of see a bookshelf behind me that has a ton of stuff on it. This is absolutely my favorite system. But Bothans are actually in the Age of Rebellion core book. So I'm actually going to pull that up. Will you guys talk a little bit more and see how I feel they kind of fit with the character?
I knew that no matter what the rest of the party chose, you would be a Bothan. It didn't matter.
I love Bothans.
It ultimately didn't matter. You'd be a Bothan.
What species do we have? We have like Mon Calamari and Bothan is like set in stone, and then
got a human.
You're playing human?
Yes.
Because I just thought I figured female. But that
I'm going to be female too. For those of you who don't know Bothans, by the way, I don't think you actually see them.
You never see one in the
never
movie.
see them. There's like the infamous line of many Bothans died to bring us this information with regards to the second Death Star. But I don't think we ever actually see them. So they're actually like a cat-like species.
They're like cat camels.
Yeah, cat camel. They have like hooves and like a cat furry face.
Bothans look like Joe Camel in Twitch chat. Yes.
You can kind of see it there. I don't know if it's centered on stream. Maybe. But the Bothan is right there.
And Koala's actually correct. Yes, that the spy on Tatooine was a Kubaz. That is right. Well done.
Yeah.
Got some lore fans in the chat tonight. I love it.
Love it.
Yeah. What were you? You said you didn't know what species you wanted, right? Game Face Kella?
I'm kind of leaning toward human as well, but
okay.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
If you had an Imperial past, being human probably makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But even if you don't, humans are still a very common race in Star Wars, obviously. So.
Yeah.
What kind of Imperial past are you thinking?
Well, I think you just mentioned that. I don't think that was set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I definitely think. I like the idea of seeing something monumental like that, the destruction of Alderaan, as being a huge turning point. And I was thinking about the fact whether the squadron I lost might have been an Imperial squadron or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, so like you were with the Imperials before you fought with them, and then you lost your squadron, and what was the
I'm
reason
trying to
you turned
decide.
to the rebellion then?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I want to have the squadron be once I join the rebellion. I kind of like that a little bit more because then I
be more attached to the people then, probably.
Yeah.
Plus, you
So
sort of like you like have this theme of like saw Alderaan get destroyed, all these people died, and there was nothing you could do. Then you joined the rebellion. You had all these comrades in arms, and they died, and there was nothing you could do.
Right.
You know, and there sort of feeds into like
and this squad, and then Josh showed up, and there's nothing to do.
Or maybe you think there was something you could do, right? And that's an issue for you. Like I could have done something, but
Right.
That really feeds into your hatred of the Empire and why you're with the rebellion, I guess. You saw a whole planet blow up, and then you saw your friends get killed at the hands of the Empire, and
yeah, definitely. I would never consider getting out of the rebellion for sure because of that. I think
the other thing that I think we should mention is that a lot of pilots who joined the rebellion trained at the Imperial Academy and then defected. So like, there's always the possibility that you like trained at the Academy. Like Luke, when he's talking about the Academy in Episode 4, is talking about the Imperial Academy. He's going to the Imperial Academy to learn how to fly like fighters, but like his friend Biggs plans to defect to the rebellion.
Right.
Would the Imperial accept Bothans into the Imperial Academy?
Maybe like an exceptional Bothan.
Can I be exceptional?
Like an exceptional Bothan.
I mean, I think you're exceptional already.
I do think I'm exceptional, but I'd have to actually be exceptional for the Imperials to take me in, which actually might feed into my ego even more, being like, I was accepted into the Imperial Academy, guys. Like, I know stuff you guys will never know. That kind of thing. But I guess it kind of depends if they would take in a Bothan.
I think it's possible for them taking a Bothan, but I also think that if you're going for like a proud Bothan who's proud of being a Bothan and proud of their traditions, that joining the Imperial Academy might kind of conflict with that, but it also might make for an interesting story, I guess.
Bothans have a lot of spies.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if maybe I joined the Imperial Academy as a spy. Like, I was kind of there on behalf of my species to spy on the way that the Imperials, like, actually dealt with their academy and the way everything kind of functioned. And then instead of going back to Bothan afterwards, I kind of saw all of the treachery and the horrible things that they were doing. So I actually took the training they gave me and went to the rebellion as opposed to going back to Bothan.
That's kind of interesting, and I would have to assume that the Imperials accepting you into the Academy were probably trying to gauge the capabilities of the Bothan spy net in turn. Like, you're trying to figure out what their training is like, and they're trying to figure out how dangerous the Bothan spy net is.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Like, you're like a weird exchange student,
kind
of.
Yeah, because I was kind of reading like a little bit about Bothans in the book and whatnot, and like they are kind of like a species, like a proud species of spies. Like they're very proud on their own planet, and they kind of evaluate their threats. So I feel like they maybe threw like a few like Bothans into the pool of like, hey, take these, and I was kind of the one chosen. And then I took that information to fight for the rebellion. What do you guys think of that? Are you guys okay with that?
I kind of like it, yeah.
Yeah,
some interesting opportunities, and it would give you a good reason to believe that you're exceptional too, which I like. Because it's interesting when characters have a good reason, like because it seems like every RPG character is like a special snowflake, right? Like we're all like the best, and we all met this super great lore figure that like all that stuff. Like oftentimes that happens when you create characters. But it's cool because your character has a specific reason to believe that they are exceptional, which I like.
Which feeds even more into my ego. So you guys are welcome in advance.
Great. We'll have to deal with that later.
Yeah, and I do see in chat, Empire equals racist. They totally are, which is why I had to kind of confirm that if Bothan would even be accepted. And I do agree that I was probably, I was on sanitation duty, just like Finn. that's kind of the way they set me up. But
the other thing you guys have to remember is that the Bothan home planet is basically neutral ground during the Galactic Civil War, and the Empire, while fully capable of conquering it, decides not to.
Yeah.
Bothan space, as it were.
Another point of just understanding the timeline, are we before or after the Bothans have recovered the plans for the Death Star?
Near simultaneously.
Near simultaneously.
Yes.
Okay.
That might be happening at the exact moment that your characters are engaging in their mission.
That might be cool then, too. I might have ties for the people who are doing that. Okay.
Oh, that is a really good idea. That is a really good... I don't know why I didn't immediately think of that, since that's the only time you hear the word Bothan in all of the movies. But yeah, that'd actually be a really good idea. Like, maybe you know some of the people who are on that mission, but you're on this other mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that.
All right. Let's talk a little bit more about your character, Palomi.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I feel like we need a little bit more on yours. Like, we kind of have an idea with the squad leader.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I mean, I have a pretty good idea so far of like kind of her thing, and we talked about it a little bit already. I guess what I was trying to figure out more than anything was, I know that my character's concept, she's like the healer type, she's a doctor. And I know that Age of Rebellion is capable of like marrying, this whole system is marrying basically like a career specialization from Edge of the Empire with something that you could find in Age of Rebellion or Force of Destiny. So, and the reason why I'm thinking about doing that is because she's a doctor, like she definitely has training as a doctor. Whereas when I was reading the medic description, it seemed a little bit more slapdash. Like, it's your medical training is specific to like emergency combat medicine. And I want her to have like skills in xenology and skills that allow her to like be a doctor even after the rebellion is over, if that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah.
We had talked about potentially taking the medic tree like you had just talked about and discussed, or you taking the doctor specialization from the colonist tree from Edge of the Empire, and then taking the recruit tree to indicate that you had transitioned into military service.
Right.
Essentially. And I think both of those are cool ideas. I think it's really up to you to decide which fits your character best.
So I was thinking about it a little bit more, and when I was looking at the recruit tree, that basically it seemed like you were purchasing skills from that tree to kind of give some sort of mechanical indication that your character went through basic training, essentially.
Yeah.
Versus the medic specialization specifically gave it a little bit more of a like, okay, you were a doctor, so now you're going to be trained in like actual combat doctoring, basically. So I think what I'm going to do is do doctor and medic specializations. So I'd be both a colonist and a soldier. Those career paths.
Interesting.
Wow, you like all of the medicines.
The only
there is all of the medicines.
The only issue from a mechanical standpoint that I want to point out is that when you buy another specialization, you get only, as class skills, you only get the ones in the specialization.
Okay.
So that means if you buy the medic tree, you'll get knowledge, xenology, medicine, resilience, and vigilance as class skills.
Mm-hmm.
So but what I'm trying to say is
career skills.
You're not getting combat skills because the medic has no combat skills. So you could just do it the other way around. And
unless she doesn't want to be combat,
that's fine. I mean, you don't have to. I just sounded like that was part of the reason why you were doing that, so I wanted to point it out.
Yeah.
You could just buy you could just buy soldier medic and then buy doctor.
I see what you're saying.
You know, just do it the other order.
Yeah.
Take the soldier tree first and then buy the doctor tree specialization after.
That makes sense.
And from a role-playing perspective, we can kind of say it isn't so much that you were a soldier first and then you were a doctor, but you've spent more time as a soldier than you have as a doctor practicing.
Yeah,
so that's why that's the primary thing you've bought.
Timeline-wise, that makes the most sense to me because the way I was thinking about it is she finished medical school and basically joined the rebellion almost immediately.
Okay, so her like doctor knowledge is primarily not like hands-on. I have a practice, or
Right.
yeah. Then I think that works really well for your character. And the good news is that the soldier class skills are very good.
Awesome.
They're some of the best in the game, in my opinion, for an all-around character, because you get some combat. You get like your medic skills are actually pretty good too, and both the medic and doctor trees are very strong. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Definitely. And that was the other thing I was kind of trying to consolidate too, was she's obviously going to be a fairly like defensive sort of character. She's not going to have like overt like I will punch you in the face and now you are dead abilities, but like I definitely want to be able to outfit her with at least some skills to be like, okay, sometimes you just kind of have to kill people in order to leave and evac an area. So okay, I think that works. Buying the soldier and medic tree, and then also getting doctor skills as well.
And I think the interesting thing about that story is maybe how your character, like, I don't know if there's actually like a Hippocratic oath in Star Wars, but there's probably something similar that sort of says, first do no harm. And how does your character reconcile that as a member of an armed insurrection?
Husband, maybe.
Maybe.
What was that, Stark? I didn't hear that.
The husband.
It's a Mandalorian husband.
The Mandalorian code or whatever.
How do you consolidate that with
the Mandalorian code and the Hippocratic oath all together is an interesting combination.
It's gonna be really interesting, you guys.
So your husband's missing. Do you have an idea of like when he went missing, where he went missing?
So I think he would have been missing. I think the way I was thinking about it was that he'd been missing for probably like half of a cycle at this point, maybe a full cycle. And obviously, like, I'm worried about him, but I'm also on a strike team, so I have to like focus on the job. So I've got kind of this side motivation to being like, hey, we found like a bunch of X-wing pilots that were missing, and I'd be like, oh, hey, we could maybe stop by and go check out, make sure one of them is him,
Right. So you're not actively looking for him.
Yeah, because like, I don't really have the opportunity to.
This kind of thing, but you're just kind of keeping an ear to the ground on if anyone hears of Mandalorian. Do you have any like suspicions on why he went missing, or like that's part of what your character's trying to find out?
I think that's part of what my character's trying to find out. Obviously, she's afraid, like, the worst possible scenario is that he was just shot down.
Right.
But I think because she hasn't heard anything one way or another, she's more holding out hope that he's still around.
Right.
Just kind of, like, marooned somewhere or...
Do you know what he was doing when he went missing?
Yeah. I think... I'm not sure which battle would be the most appropriate, but he's an X-Wing pilot, so... he would have.
So was he also in the rebellion then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's a Mandalorian in the rebellion. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's getting weird, guys.
Cool. So that's how you guys met then, was the rebellion?
Through the rebellion,
okay.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, person from Naboo and Mandalorian.
It's a strange thing to happen.
Yeah.
Especially in this Empire time.
This is highly exploitable, and as the GM, I like it.
And refresh my memory how you were motivated to join the rebellion again?
She was born in Theed, so she was 12 when Padme Amidala died. Here's the Padme feels, guys. Preparing.
The Padme feels.
So, and obviously, she was like at the funeral too. Like her whole family was. All of Theed was at the funeral. And basically, like she, like a lot of other Naboo girls, probably looked up to Padme as just someone who was a good leader and someone who was, a very effective leader, which is why everyone felt her loss so deeply. And that kind of just stuck with her as she went into her schooling. And then when she kind of started hearing about the rebellion and how they were fighting the Empire, I mean, especially because Sheev comes from Naboo. So, and I imagine that's at least common knowledge to people from Naboo at the very least. And so it's kind of like trying to regain that honor that Naboo lost whenever they both lost Padme and then was like, oh god, the Emperor is our monster.
Right. Nice.
Well, especially, do they figure out? I'm trying to figure out it according to like the canon. I guess no one actually figures out that they're kind of responsible, right? Because they nominated him as their leader.
That was a.
They know he was the former senator from Naboo.
Yeah,
everybody knows that.
He used to represent Naboo, and then Padme replaced him when he became Chancellor of the Senate.
Right.
And then, as Chancellor, he became Emperor. So
people know he's from Naboo. He's actually, in the canon, he has an estate on Naboo.
Yeah.
He maintains one. So people know that he is from Naboo, and he has kind of this weird. I don't even know if it's made clear yet why, but he has a weird attachment to his home planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
So people know he is from Naboo, and certainly he is considered a monster by pacifists and probably most people on Naboo. Yeah.
Naboo is actually one of the places where the rebellion really started to take root very quickly because he was from Naboo.
Did Leia ever go to Naboo to recruit people?
She did in comics, and it was very painful to read about.
Yeah, I remember that, reading the comic.
Canon!
Yeah.
That feel was too fail.
Yeah, I was going to say, she went there to...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Leia comics like all of you. I actually thought they were really interesting. I thought it was really neat plot.
I love the Leia comics because of all the feels. The Leia comics and the Vader comics because of all the Padme feels.
Oh, the Vader comic.
There's a series of panels, you guys, that I cannot read.
I know the ones you're talking about.
It's real bad.
I don't want to spoil it, but if you're into Darth Vader and you're into the backstory behind what makes him Darth Vader, you should definitely read the comics. They're really
check it out. They're pretty good.
I really like your ties to the whole, Padme's death, because I know how much you love Padme, and I really
I've honestly been looking for an opportunity to work that into a game, and I am over the moon that I can actually do that now.
That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Awesome. All right, back to Stark. We kind of started with you, came up with some ideas. We've kind of all rounded out our characters a bit more. So back to you. And now that you've kind of heard about what direction we're taking, do you kind of know what kind of ambassador you want to be? Like you said, you were sent here to keep an eye on us, right? But who sent you here?
I think we agreed on that I was sent by the higher-ups from the rebellion. You guys are maybe a promising bunch with some kinks that need working out here and there.
So are you an ambassador of the rebellion then? You're not technically...
I guess I was originally an ambassador of somewhere else that maybe got wrecked by Imperials, and I was on... maybe I was from Alderaan or something.
Would Mon Cal be on Alderaan, out of curiosity?
No.
Alderaan was pretty open, right? Maybe? Or was it mostly?
Oh, you mean the alien? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think that there's any reason he couldn't be from Alderaan. I mean, obviously there's probably not a ton of Mon Cal on Alderaan, but I don't...
there's going to be none now.
Yeah.
There's now zero.
Yeah. The one and only one left.
No, Ambassador of Endor making a reappearance in Twitch chat. No.
I don't really want this to be a thing. I mean, there's only Wookiees and trees there.
They put a shield generator on my planet. I need someone to help me.
I kind of like the Alderaan thing. You were working with people as an ambassador on, maybe didn't have to be from Alderaan, but you were a Mon Cal ambassador living on Alderaan.
You were the ambassador to Alderaan from Mon Cal. That seems pretty cool.
I just need some tie to get me into the rebellion. I think the rest of it makes sense.
Well, Mon Calamari as a whole is very sympathetic to the rebellion. It actually builds most of their heavy capital ships. So I think there's a pretty easy in there. But I think it's actually really cool to be this is obviously up to you. I think it's cool to be an ambassador from Mon Calamari to Alderaan, because not only are you out of a job when that planet is destroyed, but you probably spent the however long you were in that position learning about this people, and now they're almost all dead. And that could create a hole in someone for sure. I could 100% see that.
I mean, it wasted most of my life.
not only did you waste your life, but you like associated with this peaceful people who had a very interesting and grand culture, and it was all wiped out in a blink of an eye. And then you're like, what do I do now? You know? So I think that's a cool story for sure. But whichever way you go, I really like the Mon Cal angle. They're super underused. I love Mon Cal. They're so great.
Maybe you're Admiral Akbar's nephew.
Admiral Akbar's nephew. Hey, nephew, I got you a gift. It's gift wrapped.
It's a trap.
Oh no!
The gift is a trap.
Please, because then we can make those jokes forever.
Oh.
You make it sound like there's only one Mon Cal in the rebellion. And
It's the only one I know, okay?
They all know each other? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
They all know each other.
Oh man!
I mean, chat still really wants me to be an Endor ambassador. No, I'd like to read this to my people. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
It's good. It's real good, guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we actually have our concepts done. So for everyone joining us tonight, we're not actually like going through and making our character sheets or choosing our talents or abilities, because 200 XP that we were awarded is a lot. Like a lot. So we're going to have some interesting decisions as players kind of behind the scenes, choosing how we kind of divvy up our skills and our talents and everything. We really just kind of wanted to talk about how we fit together as a group, why we are fighting for the rebellion, and why we're all working together on the mission we're going to be doing for our next arc. So I think we've accomplished that. So do we want to kind of each give a summary of our species, our class, and our backstory? And then we can do our sign-offs for the night. Is everyone cool with that?
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
that sounds cool.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start. I'm going to be a Bothan sharpshooter, which is very heavily into combat. I came from Bothan. I was sent by a family of Bothans who wanted to understand more about the imperial training regimes and more about how they were formed. So because I had the abilities as a combat fighter, I went to the Imperial Academy to train with them, to spy on them for the Bothans. But in doing so, I saw all of the horrendous things that they did. So instead of returning back home to Bothan just to give them the intel I had after I graduated from the academy, I wanted to join the rebellion and fight against the evil that I had saw as I was being trained. And again, we're kind of the ragtag group of interesting backgrounds coming together to fight for one cause. We're not essentially all the frontline foot soldiers who say yes to every order. We think for ourselves and we get the job done. So my ego definitely played a large part in me getting into this type of special strike team. So that's me. So next week when we start our first session, you'll hear what my character name is. I'll decide at that point, and we'll go from there. So Game Face Killer, why don't you give a summary of what you're going to be playing again?
So I am sort of leaning toward another human character. I do need to play another race, but it's tough. I need a PDF that has just like these talent trees. I need one that has all the races and some little info about them. That'd be nice.
I could definitely find you some race info.
Okay. If you have any, definitely know me.
Try the dice roll thing.
I know I could do that. I could do that too.
It's surprisingly good.
But I think it kind of works out too because, like we were saying, if I was going to the Imperial Academy, which I guess my role doesn't necessarily have to be as big in the Imperial Academy, since Sylvanora is kind of doing that, covering that a little bit. But I was thinking about the idea of being a squadron leader, and that once I joined the rebellion, I sort of got up in the higher ranks of piloting, became a squadron leader, and then subsequently lost the squadron in a very tragic battle. And I haven't been the same since. I haven't wanted any kind of leadership positions. I've shirked responsibility. I haven't wanted to get back into the fray. And sort of the only thing that they've been able to talk me into doing is piloting and being a part of these these kind of ragtag missions that they have, which seems to be what they've assigned me to lately. It's about the only thing left that I haven't washed out of.
Y'all, how tragic would it be if Gabe's character lost my husband?
Wow.
That would be really deep. That would be really sad.
I definitely did not think of that possibility during this character generation session, and I definitely did not start mental work on integrating it into the plot of this game.
All right. Well, I don't believe you.
Oh man, I guess too, just a tie to you, Gabe, is we're probably in the Imperial Academy at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
So you and I probably know each other a little bit from that point.
You both show up in the Rebel HQ and you're like, I know you.
You guys could have even potentially defected together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
Yeah. So you and I are buddies. We're gonna be buddies.
Yeah.
But likely that situation with the squadron happened after that defection, so it's possible you haven't seen him for some time, and he looks and acts a lot differently than he did at the time of his defection, which could also be kind of a cool character element to have in the group. Like, I used to know you, but now you're this different person, and I want you to be that old person, but you're not.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. I like having ties even beyond our strike team. That'll be fun to play with.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
And it sounds like there may be some ties
Oh no!
between Olivia and
I'm legit nervous about this.
Who knows what will happen? So I think that's a good segue into your character, Palomi. Why don't you give us another recap on what you're doing?
Sure. I'll be playing a human medic / doctor who is kind of worried about her missing X-Wing pilot husband, who is also Mandalorian. She's also she's joined the rebellion pretty soon after she's finished her schooling, simply because she's from Naboo, and so she has very close ties to both the rebellion and just trying to bring the Empire down. And yeah, I'm a little bit nervous now that something terrible's happened to her poor husband.
Oh no.
The tragedy will be real, you guys.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
I hope not, but it'll be pretty good if it is.
Awesome. And Stark, you want to give a recap?
Yeah, I'm a fish.
It's a wrap. No.
God.
I am
It's so overdone.
God bless this group.
We got wrecked.
Oh man, guys. Sorry, continue.
I was a Moncal ambassador to Alderaan. Did I get the planets round the right way?
You did.
I think so.
Until the planet got blown up. Luckily, I was conveniently not on it because I was off doing ambassadorial duties to something.
You were back on Moncal making a report to your superiors, maybe?
One of those, yeah. I just ran out of...
to some awesome planet in the beach, swimming as a fish.
Oh,
That's
no.
a little bit racist.
Oh, ouch!
I then, since the old my job got blown up, literally, I decided to go over with a lot of my other Moncal friends to the rebellion and worked my way up the ranks there using my ambassadorial skills. Now working as kind of scouting out the squads that are doing well in the rebellion and seeing which ones are worth putting towards higher jobs and whatnot. And got assigned to this ragtag group of misfits.
We're misfits, but we are talented misfits.
Talented misfits.
Yeah. Who are true believers. We are We were a little bit of misfits in our Edge of the Empire game as well, but we were all about the money and had no allegiance to each other in that game. So I think here we're actually going to be friends and we're going to be true believers in the rebellion cause. So that's kind of a key distinction to make.
And I'm also, since I joined the rebellion, I guess my ambassador skills were less useful, so branched out towards the more technological side of things.
Cool.
I think that your character's initial assessment of this group is happily optimistic. So I'm excited to see what happens. But also,
on paper they look great. Let's go.
We will prove ourselves, don't you worry.
But also I really like the fact that you're evaluating their capabilities, because I feel like this first initial mission could be the end of your evaluation, and then the result of your evaluation can help me in the rest of the arc. So I'm really excited for it. I think
it's all in your hands.
Make them crash and burn.
Oh man!
You better give us a
Much
good
like
evaluation.
the previous story arc, I can make the party crash and burn.
Do we know you're evaluating us? It's a good point to ask.
I imagine so. Like it's
would
not
you
like.
tell us?
I wouldn't say the rebellion's all like secrecy. Ooh, let's just like, here's a random Moncal.
Okay.
He's an ambassador. Just take him with you.
Okay. But we know that you're evaluating us to put us in an even better position, right? So it's not like you're there as a disciplinary action.
So. It seems like the rebellion's very open to like, hey, you did well on this job. You're now going up the ranks. Like,
Okay.
I think at the very least, even if it wasn't explicitly said this guy is evaluating you, you would suspect enough to realize that likely that is what is taking place. You know what I'm saying? Even if it wasn't explicitly like, hey, if you do this job well, we're going to give you command duties or something. Like, you would understand that that's likely something that would happen.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'm pretty excited about this, guys.
I am too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I'm pretty stoked.
These sessions are pretty fun because I literally came into it with a character class that I thought would be interesting that I'm not even playing. And kind of evolved it with you guys. So it's always fun to kind of bounce ideas off each other. And I find it makes for a group to be a little bit more cohesive, which is fun.
Totally.
Maybe I had a rapier I found from some droid.
Oh no.
You know what? I think I'm going to try and wrap a rapier into my character just for, posterity's sake.
Each arc should end in a rapier theft.
There was lightsaber theft. There was rapier
Spoilers.
theft. What kind of theft are we going to have this time, guys?
Spoilers.
Awesome. Well, big shout out to chat. The lore discussions and the character discussions you guys were undertaking throughout this were really interesting to follow along with. And a lot of you guys, you said you were newer to the system and newer to the show, so thanks so much for joining us. We hope that you join us for the actual story to begin next week, because like I said, this is a very special episode, which was a little bit more of us thinking out loud than us really, playing in a game or having anything prepared. So definitely join us next week and definitely check out our Edge of the Empire episodes. We have 6 of them from the previous arc. They were pretty epic and fun. They are on the Misscliks YouTube channel. And also huge shout out to Misscliks again for being an awesome organization and helping to host this show, which is great. For those of you who don't know, Misscliks is a community working towards a future where all people can participate in geek and gaming culture without fear or prejudice or mistreatment. So they're definitely not the Empire, who are extremely racist. They are definitely on the rebellion side. So go Misscliks for that. So thanks again to them, and we'll see you all next week. It's a wrap.
All right.
Oh my god, how do I get to the post-show screen as fast
Oh,
as
come on. It's a wrap
possible?
and it doesn't go blank after that.
No, it's gone by.
God, man.